What's up? What's going on? Welcome to my channel. Man, who remembers the 90s, specifically gaming in the 90s in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Man, we had some really cool gaming consoles, and I had quite a lot of them, and not all of them, but majority of them. And you know, there were so many cool games. We practically went from 2D sprites to 3D polygons overnight. The gaming scene had changed, and this is my journey through the 90s, and I'd like to take you through what I used to own and what I used to hire and what I used to borrow. So let's get started. The Sega Mega Drive 1 with its 3-button setup. Man, this was awesome when it came out. I mean, this was at the height of the wars between them and Nintendo. Does anyone remember that? I mean, it just got out of hand, you know, especially when they jumped into the polygon scene when the 32-bit consoles came out. Far out. But anyway, let's get started on Genesis. Well, the Mega Drive. Aladdin. So this was based on a animated movie, which was actually pretty good. The conversion to the game, they did a good job of it. You know, it had parallax scrolling, good sound effects. The background music wasn't too bad, but some of the hit detection here and there is, you know, left to be desired. Oh man, Alien 3. Oh, I just love this game, especially the first 3 stages. The background music, I just love it. Also, when you change to the grenade launcher and you hit the, you know, when you shoot the aliens, it gives off an awesome sound. So, spent many hours on this game for sure. Beast. Man, I first played this in the 80s in the arcades. I was just blown away by it. The port to the Mega Drive, they did a good job on it. The devs, yeah, I thought they did a good job. Pick up the 3 power-ups and gives you the ability to change into an animal. Power up with its abilities. Power up.
Welcome to your doom.
Art Alive, this game was horrible. I actually hired this from a guy who had a mobile gaming van. Yeah, that's right. This was in Lower Hutt. He had, I can't remember his name or the name of the actual company, but he used to drive around in a van and it was filled with, you know, gaming consoles and games. And this was one of the ones I hired. I only hired it because it had Sonic in it. I mean, there was no option to save your game. This was, yeah, Sega messed up on this one for sure. Chicky Chicky Boys. This is a game that I had seen being played at my mother-in-law's and she owned it. So I ended up getting me a copy of it and fell in love with it. Everything about this game is awesome. The sound effects, the background music, the story. I mean, overall it was a cool game. And just so you don't know, if you did own this game, this is an actual port from an arcade. So I played the arcade version and it's obviously way better, but they did a good job at porting it over. Columns. This was a basic game going off Tetris. This was ported over to quite a few devices or gaming consoles and handhelds. I actually enjoyed this game though. It was pretty straightforward. About originality in the game. Comic Zone was the game that had it all. I mean, there was no other game that I could think of that era that could let you, you know, go different ways or multiple ways in a game and also have the enemies and things like that drawn in as you play it. So yeah, I thought it was really original, really cool, colourful. Dick Tracy. This was also based off a movie, not an animated movie. It was an actual movie. It wasn't too bad. The game conversion, oh nah, didn't like it. It was too bland, and it's pretty much repetitive. You just, you know, bad guys. It kind of reminded me of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, but without the special abilities. Echo the Dolphin. This game was everywhere. I wouldn't say it was well made. It was just a basic game. But still, it had a good storyline to it. You could spend ages just cruising around in the oceans. Funnily enough, you know, years later, they recreated this game on the Sega Dreamcast 3D version of it, and it came out really, really good. Good graphics, good storyline. I fell in love with that game. Elemental Master. I ended up hiring this from Video Easy in the hut here. Man, this was an awesome game. Had cool, you know, everything, sound effects, background music. I think you press the A button to shoot up, and then you press the X button to shoot, you know, below you. So you had to watch what you were doing. Had to watch your back. Awesome anime. And of course, every stage that you enter, you get a new power-up or shooting ability. Champions, man, this was like the hardest game of its era, and there was no, you know, settings to adjust it to put it on easy, medium or hard. It was just fixed like an arcade game. But you know, it was rewarding when you pulled off the stage fatalities, and in order to do that you had to do a certain amount of hits on the enemy near the end of their life. I can't remember, I think it was 24% or something, I can't remember, it's been a long time, but Xavier, he was my favourite, this guy on the left. But again, yeah, it was a hell of a hard game to clock, but like I said, you know, it's rewarding once you did. Fatal Fury, man, this game, I always used to get my ass kicked on this. My best bro always used to waste me, eh? Probably because I always went, this guy here. Yeah, Terry Bogard. It's one of those games I thought was okay, but I never really followed up through the years on it. Maybe in the King of Fighters, but other than that. Okay, flashback. This was one of those staple games, or you know, one of those games that a lot of people had. This was also one of those games that you needed a pen and paper to write down the codes, because back then when this came out, cell phones didn't have what they have today, so you couldn't just take a screenshot. So you had to do it the old way and write them down. So this game here, Out of This World, extremely hard game to play. It was, one of those games that you needed a pen and paper to also write down the codes. So here we go. I've totally forgotten how to play it, and by the time I tried to figure it out, it was too late. Mortal Kombat. Just about everyone I knew had this game. I first played this in the arcades, and the port to the Mega Drive, I thought it was pretty good. Except for if you were playing it on the Nintendo, which they censored the blood and turned it into green goo, which was, yeah. The soundtrack on this game used to annoy the hell out of my missus. I still remember Scorpion's fatality, burn fatality. Hold block and up twice. Do it up close.
Get over here! Get over here! Excellent. Fight.
Mortal Kombat 2. I first jammed out on this in Time Zone, or was it? No, Time Out. It was Time Out. And this was in Lower Hutt. And when one day when I was hanging at home, one of the in-laws came over with the cartridge and goes, "Hey, check it out, bro, got it on cartridge." And I did a trade for it, and it ended up being mine, and everyone that challenged me after that got nowhere. So yeah, I fell in love with this game, especially Sub-Zero and his trick freeze. So you can do a continuous freeze, on the fatality. I think it was forward, down, forward, high kick, and the uppercut after that is forward, down, forward, high punch. Yeah, so you can do a continuous freeze on your opponent. You can just keep going and going and going. And it came from the arcade, so it was in the code. So even the ported version on the Mega Drive had it. So it was really cool. Man, Mortal Kombat 3, I first seen this at Time Out in Lower Hutt, and it was being projected on this big huge wall, and this dude was jamming as Cabal, and oh man, I got hooked straight away. And with the graphics, the run feature, and also the combos, it's like something I'd never seen before. It was just mind-blowing. And anyway, I ended up buying the cartridge for the Mega Drive, and I got Cabal locked down and all the other characters, and then next minute, Time Out had a competition, and I actually placed first out of all 40 contestants. So Yeah, that was a huge achievement for me in the gaming arena. It was my first big gaming comp, so yeah. But this game, man, you know, the port's pretty good. Just the sound effects have suffered a lot. But still, you still be able, you know, you can still pull off all your combos, fatalities and everything else.
Jack wins.
Revenge of Shinobi. This was a really cool game. My brother-in-law actually owned this game, and he was jamming out on it. And when I was over at his whare one time, I was like, "Oh man, I gotta, you know, gotta have this." So I ended up getting my own copy. It was well made. As you can see there, parallax scrolling. Sound effects were pretty good, and the background music just, you know, keeps you going. Of course, the pack-in game that came with a lot of Sega Mega Drive 1s, Sonic the Hedgehog. Love this game to death, man. It was, you know, the soundtrack and just everything about the Sonic games were, you know, really cool, the early ones. The Hedgehog 2, this was my favourite game at that time, 2D game anyway. I scored this as a pack-in game from the whare, the warehouse, for the Sega Mega Drive 2, the 6-button controller. Beautiful game. You know, awesome music tracks. Graphics, you know, big jump from the previous one, and also had the spin option, that one there. Anyway, everything was in this game, all the hidden power-ups and everything. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, so this is obviously carrying on from the second one. So this part here, you see them on the plane. This was the end movie on part 2, so, you know, carried on straight away from the second one. So they added a couple more features. The most noticeable was the spin move, or sorry, the shield. So when you jump and you press A again, it gives you a split second of protection. Yeah. This was a special kind of game because the game cartridge itself would fit in between the console and your game, so it was like a midpoint, like a peripheral, and that was something I'd never seen before. So it was like an add-on. So you'd get this cartridge, stick it into your Mega Drive, and then you'd get your cartridge and stick it on the top of that one. So yeah, it was a cool game. Streets of Rage. When I first seen this, I was mind blown. You know, it was kind of like Double Dragon, just amped up 100 times. My cousins were playing this over at their whare, and when I walked in there, I was like, man, what's this game? And they were like, oh, give me a demo. And so, you know, I ended up buying it myself. Yeah, it had cool combos, and just the music. It was mainly the music for me. For others, it was like the combos and things like that. Streets of Rage 2, man, this one, you know, out of all three of them, this one was my favorite. The pure fact that the sprites were a lot bigger, there was a lot more detail on them, and the music, you know, the background music, it just got you hooked. Especially when you do your supers and that, was real cool. You know, they removed the bomb feature that they had in the first one. You know, I didn't mind that at all. Replacing it with the supers, yeah, that was real cool. That was a good idea. Super Street Fighter 2 new challenges. I never really liked Street Fighter, but I ended up getting this from the whare, the warehouse, and actually fell in love with this game. It was actually quite good. But with, you know, as with most cartridge games, the sound kind of suffers a bit. Fei Long was one of my favorites.
Round one, fight. Hadouken! Noryuken! 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 Hadouken! Hadouken! Noryuken! Noryuken! Hadouken!
Tasmania, this game, I don't know, see what Sega was thinking when they made this one. I also hired this from the dude that used to drive around in his van. Lucky I hired it and didn't buy it, because yeah, the hit detection on this game is horrible. Especially when you're using Tazzie's spin, you would end up spinning off something. One hit deaths kind of thing, and those rocks and that quicksand. What's up with that, man? That used to piss me off. Two Crude Dudes. This was a good port. This actually came from an arcade game, and Data East, they made some really cool games. Notably, Robocop, which was a big hit in the 80s. Yeah, this was cool. You could pick up, you know, the enemy and throw them around like rag dolls. Pick up just about anything and throw it around. It had that signature Data East look. X-Men for the Mega Drive. This game, I'd give it a 4 out of 10. It was alright. I mean, I ended up playing Nightcrawler. It's only because he could teleport through walls and things like that. So I ended up hiring this game. I didn't buy it. I'm lucky I didn't. Zero Tolerance, man, this game was just what they call a Doom ripoff, really, or Wolfenstein ripoff. It was a good game, but unfortunately the screen size, yeah, if you had a small CRT TV trying to play this game, you'd struggle. You'll see what I mean in a minute when I start it up. And there you go, there's your screen size. Shotgun collected. So I did, you know, this game, I did enjoy this game, but to me it was just a Wolfenstein ripoff, really.
Handgun collected. Low.
The Neo Geo AES, man, I knew no one who owned one of these. Simple fact is, it cost an arm and a leg to buy, and so I actually hired this from Video Easy in Lower Hutt, and I think it cost around about $30 to $40 for 3 days or something like that. But this is the first time I'd ever seen giant gaming cartridges, man, and the first game I ever actually scored with it was Samurai Showdown. Of course, that signature startup. I first played this in the arcades, actually, and the conversion over to the console was pretty much 1-to-1. It was yeah, pretty amazing. Monsters 2. This one I first played in the arcades, and spent a lot of coin on this game. It's basically just going around like Godzilla, just busting down buildings and taking on armed forces, and also the alien creatures. And it's kind of like Altered Beast, where you'd get, you know, a couple of power-ups and you'd get stronger, not so much bigger, just, you know, your powers are more prominent. Metal Slug. This was a cool game when it came out. Had everything.
Mission 1, start.
Graphically, this game was beautiful. Just the
Heavy machine gun.
when you grenade the soldiers, the enemy, just the screaming kind of got annoying. It was actually quite loud. But overall, well made. Awesome series.
Thank you. Heavy machine gun. Nine shots. Thank you. Heavy machine gun.
Samurai Showdown. Again, I played this firstly in the arcades, so I had to hire this out to see the difference, and it was pretty much one-to-one. I couldn't figure out any difference between this and the arcade, because they say that the AES is pretty much the arcade itself. King of Fighters 94 was probably the only game that I actually liked. You know, it combined characters from different games into one.
Italy.
But again, wasn't, you know, one of my top fighting games of, at the time. Man, he also played this game at Timeout. Neo Geo was pumping, that was their era, was the 90s. I mean, these games were pumping out everywhere.
Round 1, fight, fire. Fire.
Fumaye was one of my favorites. Beautifully made. The sprites are just, the artwork was awesome. The Sega CD. I don't have many games on the Sega CD. Main reason is because a lot of the Mega Drive games went ported over to this. It had a very small library, and the games were, some of them were quite bad. So I'm going to show you one of them right now. So Night Trap. This was the game that pretty much destroyed the CD side of things, due to the fact that it was a game that was supposed to be about, people kidnapping young people, so mainly, young girls, and Congress stepped in and, made them change everything, and this game ended up being terrible. So basically you just clicking through cameras through a house and trying to locate the bad guys, and the acting in this was just everything about this was just bad.
Here.
We have a picture.
I'm Sims, SCAT Team Commander. SCAT Mission 230. 5 teenage girls on their way to a weekend house party at the old Lakeshore Winery house of Mr. and Mrs. Victor Martin. And their 2 children, Jeff and Sarah. Your mission, protect those 5 girls from whatever happened to another bunch of teenagers. They disappeared after spending a night at the Martins. Last night, one of our agents got into the house and found a
special boy. We both know that. But you must start doing your job. We all have to do our job.
I know.
We'll help your cousin with that.
Yeah, it's about time.
Sorry it didn't dawn on me.
Yeah, I'll dawn on you if you don't get on the ball.
I'm sorry. Oh, que cretin.
Rosé on the CD version, it's actually quite good. Everything, especially with audio, the audio quality is a lot better, and also the graphics. Sonic CD. This was actually pretty good. I mean, again, with the audio and the visuals, it was a bit of a step up. Not by much, but I mean, yeah, you could notice it straight away. Few other games back in the day. These are actual, what they call laserdisc games from the 1980s. I used to jam out on these in the arcades.
There's Force Ship.
So they did good ports of these. You know, they ported these games to just about every gaming console you could think of through the ages. Super Nintendo, a lot of you would have had one of these. Of course, I did as well. But again, I'm a Sega fan, so my library on the Super Nintendo was limited. There's a lot of the games I didn't like them because of the sensory stuff that Nintendo had on them. And of course, the most prominent game on the Super Nintendo was the Donkey Kong Country series. I only had 1 and 2. When I saw this game for the first time, I actually thought it was really, really good. The reviews were up there. It was well made. Of course, Donkey Kong Country 2. Really enjoyed this game as well. Buying Killer Instinct for the Super Nintendo months later after its release, and I bought it from Blockbuster in Lower Hutt here. Simple fact that they butchered the hell out of this game, you know, and I loved the arcade version of it, and yeah, no, they just chopped this thing to pieces. Everything was bad, the sound, the graphics, you name it. But you know, at the end I did add it to my collection because it wasn't on any other gaming console at that time, because it's a Nintendo game. The only Legend of Zelda game I had was A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo. I never really got into Zelda games at that stage. It wasn't until the games came out on the Nintendo 64, and it was the Ocarina of Time. PlayStation, or what I call the shit station. Some of you will be like, huh? But that's what I used to call it, only because, you know, I used to keep the gaming console wars going, and because I'm a Sega fan, you know, it had a huge library of games, and I had a few, but not as many as what you'd think. So let's get started. Abe's Odyssey. This was one of those weird and unique games. I actually enjoyed this game. There's nothing else like it at the time, so it was actually quite hilarious.
We've lost contact with the colony.
Man, this was a really good game. The soundtracks, you know, were quite creepy. This game came together quite well. I just had, you know, an issue with the way that you maneuver through the game. Its controls, I should say. Because you know, having to use the left or right trigger to, you know, move sideways, it kind of, yeah, was disorientating. It was kind of like before they started moving into games where they use, you know, 2 analogs to, you know, use the 3D feel of everything. So it was like the old way of moving around in the environment. So, you know, it was still in development when they were trying to figure that out. But overall, beautiful game. Really enjoyed it. Game for some of the PlayStations out there. Iconic Crash Bandicoot. Definitely a, you know, top game. Still play it even years later. cool. It was a big jump from the first one actually. Also enjoyed the first one, especially with the new combo system and all that. That ever gave me, my very first jump scare was Silent Hill. Man, I was playing this like 2 o'clock in the morning. I had, earphones strapped to my head, volume up, turned up really loud, lying in bed with the controller, and I was running around in the hospital with the torch, and next minute, those nurses just come out of nowhere, and man, I jumped out of bed, and just the sounds that they made. I jumped out of bed and dropped the controller, and I was like, damn. And so it was like, again, my very first jump scare. So yeah, they did a good job.
Cheryl? Is that Cheryl? Where are you going? Hey, wait! Stop!
Soul Reaver, this was, another common game that was everywhere. I thought this game was alright, I didn't really get much into it. I didn't actually clock this game because I got like halfway through it and just got bored of it. But it had a good storyline to it.
These gates twist space, laying a path across great spans. You must visit other gates before this portal will be open to you.
And of course, another popular and common game was Spyro the Dragon. Again, I didn't mind this game, but, after a few stages, it kind of got a bit boring.
Okay, rolling.
Oh, it's been peaceful. Where's Nasty Nork? Oh.
I first seen a bro of mine playing this, and I actually got into it. You know, it was a bit bland, but on the scenery and things like that. But you know, I actually got drawn into it. Just the whole stealth thing, sneaking up on people and, you know, chopping them to bits. Man, can't forget the old light guns, the grey guns with the red buttons on them. And of course these games only work on the old school TVs, the old CRT TVs with the big ass on them.
This nation will soon... There! Shoot him!
Reload! Halt! Action! Get him!
2097, man, this game was insane. I mean, again, I love the first one, but this one here was just, you know, it was a big jump from the first, just graphically, you know. Also the soundtracks in here, like Firestarter and a few other ones, you know, at that time was the thing.
One, go.
definitely had some really cool soundtracks to it. It just seemed to get better and better, you know, with each version that they released. This one seemed a bit more dull, less colourful than 2097 or XL. It seemed more industrial kind of looking. When I first seen the Nintendo 64, it was running a game called Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, and this was in Wellington somewhere. I totally forgot the name of the gaming store, but I was hooked straight away. I bought everything that came with it. I must have spent at least $400 on this thing, you know, so I ended up getting extra games like Mario 64 and a few others, and I think it was Banjo-Kazooie. Man, beautiful console, beautiful games. This was one of my favourite snowboarding games back in the day. I mean, there were quite a few of them out at that time, but this one here really got me hooked, especially on the half pipe.
Kensuke Kimachi! Yo! Starfish! Method! Indie Notebook! Indie Melancholy! 360! 360! 360! 360! 36720! 36791 360! Method! Oh, it's a new record!
Sorry man, this game had it all. It had, you know, graphics, it had the sounds, it had the puzzles, it had the comedy. I mean, I spent months on this game trying to clock it, and when I did, man, it was you know, well worth it. I never owned Banjo-Tooie, which is the second part, but this one here, you know, hours of fun. Corps. This was one of those games that I hired. You know, I got about 5 minutes of gameplay and then turned it off. It's basically just going around clearing a path for the fuel tanker. Make sure it doesn't hit anything, because if it does, it'll blow up everything. Pretty straightforward. Day, I definitely own this game. The comedy in this game is just hilarious. I ended up falling in love with the Xbox version. Conquer Live and Reloaded was way better graphically and just everything. But this, this started it all off. Rare made some really cool games back in the day.
No. It's gonna be one of those days. I don't feel so good.
Donkey Kong 64, this was pretty cool. The game was a little bland, the scenery and all that, but, coming from the arcades, back in the 80s, I thought this was pretty cool. You get to a stage, I can't remember which stage it was, but you can end up playing on an arcade, going up, going out on the OG version.
Donkey Kong.
Doom 64, this was a cool game, going off all the older ones. It was a bit of a jump, graphically. I didn't own this game, I actually hired it. said, again, this was another game that I hired, didn't own it. So to me, playing this game, it just had the whole game feel to it, you know, with comedy in it.
Damn, those alien scum are gonna pay for shooting up my ride.
Most people had this game. If you didn't and you didn't like this kind of FPS, there was big hype about this game when it came out. I mean, to me it was just a standard shooter. I think they over exaggerated when they were promoting this game. This was one of those games that I definitely bought. I mean, again, I'm a Killer Instinct fanatic and I love it. Of course there were a lot of stuff missing from the arcade version, but you know, what we got here was good enough for the second version. Graphics were actually quite smooth. Sub-Zero Mythologies. This was one of those really bad games that they should never have released, I should say. Having to use, I think it was the A button to change the direction that you're looking in. I purchased this game only to find out that, you know, horrible game. It's only because I am a Mortal Kombat fan as well, so, you know, at the end of the day, it was, you know, part of the collection. Mortal Kombat trilogy, yeah, this was awesome. The brutality's insane, even though it was a repetitive move, but it still looked cool. I remember we were in a gaming store somewhere, me and my best mate, and he yelled out across the aisle, "Oh bro, look, they got Mortal Kombat trilogy," and everyone in the whole entire store like turned around and looked at him, and some were laughing and so was I. I said, "Yeah, it's called trilogy, bro." Now for the first time, Scorpion could, you know, teleport punch forwards, so you could do it both ways, forward and back. But I liked it on the Sega Dreamcast, which was Mortal Kombat Gold. So the fact that This version doesn't have the cinematics.
Scorpion. Choose your destiny. Round 1. Fight!
Oh, I gotta throw you over there!
Sword capping wins.
Mystical Ninja, starring Game On. This wasn't too bad. This was another game that I'd purchased, and you know, I didn't regret buying it. I give it I'd say about a 7 out of 10. It wasn't my kind of game. It just looked cool, so I thought, grab it. Did spend quite a few hours on it though. On Snap, this was a game that I had hired. Lucky for me I did, because I'm not really into Pokemon. I just wanted to have a look at what it was all about.
Hello there.
Heyday South Park was cool in the series, but when they converted it to the 64, nah. You know,
From the deep reaches
throwing
of
snowballs
space.
at turkeys all the time it gets really boring, and you know, the storyline is just crap. Never liked this game.
Egg is cool. Big egg! Hi, Chef.
Hello, children.
I just need to find the other keys. Oh, you hippie! You suck! Son of it! You dirty tree-hugging hippie!
So yeah, again, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire was the very first Nintendo 64 game I'd seen, and it was the first game that I purchased, and I fell in love with this straight away. Especially the first stage, where you're on Hoth. And also the Seeker camera on the grenade launcher.
me, Mario!
This was an awesome game for sure.
Hello!
A lot of people own this one. It was a pack-in game as well. N64. Spent
Dear
many
Mario,
months on this for
please
sure.
come to the castle. I have baked a cake for you. Yours truly, Princess Toadstool. Peach.
Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I saw a brother-in-law of mine playing this at his fuddy, and I just happened to walk in and he was jamming out on it, and I was hooked straight away. I ended up trading for it. Spent months and months on this game. You know, this is the most beautiful game ever made for the Zelda franchise. Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, man, this was quite hard. You know, it took twice the amount of time to complete it compared to Ocarina of Time. But this thing, yeah, had you hooked for months and months. Like the way, you know, when you put the mask on and you transform into the character. Yeah, that was something new, something cool. Pro Skater 2. This was awesome. It had some really cool 90s soundtracks in there. Public Enemy and a few others. Still one of my favorite skating games of all time. one of those games I'd seen at Timeout as well. On the big screen, some dude was playing as Anubis, so I got hooked on it straight away. So I went out and bought the 64 version of it. The port was pretty good on the 64. PlayStation also had a port as well, but the intros were better. But then again, you had those, you know, loading times, which I hated. This was still my favorite version.
Round 1, begin.
Nice combo.
Attack wins.
Wave Race, man, this was hard case. I mean, this is a common game. It was everywhere.
Wave
the only water game that I actually enjoyed, or water sport game.
Select your watercraft, please. Welcome to Sunny Beach.
Get ready for the first race. 3, 2, 1, go! Nice! Okay, everybody behind. Okay, nice! Maximum power! More seconds. Don't sweat it. Okay, okay. Nice!
Wipeout on the Nintendo 64 really appealed to me. This is another game that I purchased. Unfortunately, the only thing that let it down were the soundtracks. Yeah, they weren't as appealing as they were in all the older ones. But still, I you know, end up loving this game.
Welcome to Clyde's Bridge.
3, 2, 1, go.
And the Sega Saturn is my favorite gaming console of all time because I'm a Sega fan. The pack-in game I got with it was a game called Bug, and I still enjoy playing this to this day. Baku Baku Animal, this was one of those cool games, you know, that stood out from the rest simply because you would match an animal up with whatever it might eat. Let's just say a rabbit and a carrot, or a dog and a bone, etc, etc. So this is what made it stand out from any other game at that time. Battle Arena to show them, URA, this was the best out of all of them. Personally, I thought it was. The intro to this game here is actually pretty cool. Typical look of that era, nice blocky polygons.
踏め。
どこを見ている。
サンダーリング。
どこを見ている。おりゃおりゃ
サンダーリング。サンダーリング。オーロラレボリューション。
邪魔だ。
This is the picking game I got with my Sega Saturn. Bug. I actually enjoyed this game. 1995, wow. But this was one of those games that was hard as hell, and the save points were few and far between, so yeah. So once you die, you know, you get to go all the way back to a certain spot and do it all over again.
Get away from me! I got work!
Went out and bought Clockwork Knight because there was good reviews about it, and you know, this was one of those games I'd rank 6 out of 10. Kind of gives you the Toy Story vibe. So Daytona USA, this was one of those games that was, you know, obviously originated from the arcade. If you've jammed out in the 90s, you would know this. There was quite a lot of these systems linked together in the arcade, so you can sit down with your mates, your bros, and just, you know, go hard. The port of this to the Saturn is pretty good. Graphically, it's a bit, you know, a bit rough, but in the end, at least you got, you know, close to what you wanted from the arcade.
Looking good.
Try to go easy on the car.
Right. Your time has been extended.
Fighting Vipers.
Fighting Vipers, man. Yeah, I definitely had bought this game. I used to play Candy all the time. She was my favorite character.
Begin. Go.
This is like a step up from Virtua Fighter for sure. Jill. This definitely was a beautiful graphical game. Used to love the fireballs and uppercuts, you know, using weapons, so definitely well made.
Duel 1.
Griffin. I wasn't much of a mech fanatic. I didn't really like mech games, but when I first played this one, this kind of got me hooked, especially with the jump feature, jump and hover. Magic Carpet. This game didn't really appeal to me, but I did read in a gaming magazine at the time that a woman in the States had died from a heart attack playing this game, believe it or not. It read that this game was actually connected to a VR unit, which is strange because back then it probably was, what, 5 frames per second or something? But anyway, yeah, so this woman was wearing the headset and she was sitting down on the ground, and when she was trying to turn the carpet, like you see there, she just, you know, it felt like real to her, and she felt like she was falling off the carpet and she had a heart attack. So yeah. Another game that was ported over from somewhere else, notably the PC. When I first bought this game, I thought it was pretty cool. Playing through it, and it was my first click adventure game. Well, I should say point and click adventure game. It took me forever to clock it because, you know, everything in this game is secret and all. Panzer Dragoon 2, Psy. This is my favourite game of all time on the Sega Saturn. I still play it today. Awesome storyline. Love this rail shooter. I thought Panzer Dragoon 1 was okay. The Saga, that sucked to hell because they turned it into an RPG and they should have left it as a rail shooter, to be honest. And the one that came out on the Xbox, which was Panzer Dragoon Auto, that's my next favourite. Beautiful game. This was my favourite demo disc on the Saturn. This is how I end up, you know, buying the games. Obviously, I bought every single game that was on this. Still my favourite demo disc.
Sega Rally Championship
It's the only game I ever purchased in rally games. I don't like rally games, but this one was pretty cool. I mean, this was the first rally game you could actually drift on the Sega Saturn, which I was quite amazed about. So I thrashed this to hell anyway. Still love it today.
3, 2, 1, go! Easy right. Easy left. Easy right. Over jump. Easy right. Long medium right. Next point. Easy right. Wow. Over jump.
Again, Street Fighter games weren't my forte, but I actually enjoyed the Alpha series or the Zero series.
Round one, fight!
Street Fighter, the movie, the game. Yeah, that was just as horrible as the movie. You know, who thought it was a good idea to make Street Fighter the movie in the first place? And then release a game about it? Oh man. You know, you get haters out there going on about Mortal Kombat, you know, transitioning from, you know, a movie to a game, which was done actually really quite well. And then you compare it to Street Fighter, nah. No competition there at all.
Round one, fight! You lose. Perfect. Round two, fight.
Everyone I knew had this game. The puzzle game version was actually pretty neat. But again, you know, it's just another Tetris game to me.
Ready? Fight! ま、当然かな。かわいい。頭の差だよね。
Tomb Raider. I really love this game. I still do to this day. The original, ported from PC. The music and the storyline, they're pretty cool. Just, you know, sometimes I'd have issues trying to figure out, you know, what a switch was, you know, especially on the Saturn, because the graphics were a little more, you know, a little bit more blockier than the PlayStation version, and it was, you know, a bit harder to figure it out. But it made it more challenging. when Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 came out, I had to have it. Went out and bought it straight away. Because again, I'm a Mortal Kombat freak and I love the characters, especially the new ones that they had added. It was a big jump from, you know, part 3. And again, this was another game that was at timeout on the big screen. And I came in with Scorpion and just carved everybody up.
Choose your destiny. Excellent.
But unfortunately, the only downfall with CD-based games was the loading times.
Scorpion wins. Fight. Scorpion wins.
Wipeout, man, when I first seen this, it just blew my mind. I first hired this out on the Sega Saturn and man, I was hooked straight away. I don't like, any kind of vehicle games. They just bore the hell out of me. But when I first played this thing, I've been hooked since day one when it first came out, and I still am to this day, 2025. There's no other game like Wipeout. And of course, Virtua Fighter 2. I first played this in the arcades. This was pretty much a straightforward port to the Saturn. And this stage here was my favorite.
Fight! 1. Ready!
Children of the Atom. This is definitely still a favourite of mine. Especially with the Sentinel. I mean, you know, in the cartoons back in the day on VHS, you know, they're quite large, quite big, Sentinels, so they had to downsize it to get it in the game.
Round 1. Fight!
You lose. That's it for this video. I've tried to include as many games as I can remember. There was just so many good ones and so many bad ones. If you had, you know, an awesome 90s experience or gaming experience, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.